Welcome to the Migratory Data Mini Webinar. Our agenda today is to review an overview of the migrant education program, including qualifying moves, the certificate of eligibility, and qualifying arrival date, as well as the TN Migrant website, the occupational survey, the individual needs assessment, service codes, descriptions, and data collection protocol. We will review identifying and flagging migratory students, suggestions to improve data quality, and contact information. To begin our overview, let's review qualifying move and certificate of eligibility, or COE. Migratory status depends on the student or family having a qualifying move that is tied to certain types of agricultural, fishery, and other employment. The State Migrant Education Program, or MEP, contractor, on behalf of the department, issues a Certificate of Eligibility, or COE, to certify students as migratory when they have qualifying moves. Migratory students are eligible for migratory services for the 36 months that follow the QAD, or qualifying arrival date. Although services typically continue through the completion of a school term. Students who are eligible for migratory services in 2023-24 have QADs that are September 2nd, 2020 or later. Students who are eligible for migratory services in 2022-23 have QADs that are September 2nd, 2019 or later. Federal reporting includes migratory students enrolled in school or served in summer programs one or more days during the program year, which is September 1st through August 31st. The TN Migrant website is a website the state MEP contractor uses to exchange documents securely with LEAs. At the beginning of the school year or upon enrollment, families complete an occupational survey. Within 2 weeks of enrollment, the school collects and reviews the occupational survey. If the response to question 1 is yes, school staff review the form for completeness, use information in the LEA Student Information System to address gaps like phone number, address, or email address, and forward completed forms to the LEA Migrant Liaison. Within 3 weeks of enrollment, LEA Migrant Liaisons forward occupational surveys to the state MEP contractor if the responses to questions 1 and 2 are both yes, or the response to question 1 is yes, and the response to question 2 is blank or no, but there are indications that the family might qualify. For example, the family moved to the district within the past 3 years. LEA Migrant Liaisons upload completed occupational surveys to the LEA's Resources Occupational Survey folder on the TN Migrant website. Please note, in the file names, please include the LEA name and the date. The state MEP contractor contacts the family and determines whether the move and employment qualify the children for migratory status. Let's review the Individual Needs Assessments, or INA. Under the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, LEAs must develop individual needs assessments for migratory students that identify needs, inform services, and document that INA requirements have been met. The INA replaces the Individual Student Record, or ISR, for data collection and federal reporting. Data from the INA are reported to the United States Department of Education's Migrant Student Information Exchange, otherwise known as M6, data system, which facilitates the exchange of school records for migratory students. LEAs must complete the INA in TN Migrant within 2 weeks of a migratory student's enrollment. When a certificate of eligibility, or COE, has been approved, TN Migrant will notify the LEA that an INA has been started in TN Migrant. The LEA Migrant Liaison gathers information, collaborates with teachers and others who serve migratory students, and completes the INA in TN Migrant. Priority for Services, or PFS. The INA tool in TN Migrant identifies migratory students who are priority for services based on the information provided. LEAs that accept Title I Part C funds must give priority to migratory students who qualify for priority for service status. As you begin your INA, consult the documents linked in the PowerPoint. These include the MEP INA protocol, the MEP Individual Needs Assessment Instructions, and the MEP Supplemental Individual Needs Assessment Instructions and Template. For additional information, please visit ePlan, TDOE Resources, ESSA Information, Guidance, PowerPoints, and Webinars, and then Title I Part C Migrant Education Programs, or the TN MEP website. For assistance, please contact hannah.gribble@tn.gov, terry.garrett@tn.gov, or elena.cruz@tn-mep.net. Let's review service codes, descriptions, and data collection protocol. Title I Part C grantees are required to report instructional and support services that migratory students received that are funded all or in part by Title I Part C MEP funds. For service codes and instructions, including a webinar recording, visit TN-MEP at tn-mep.net/resources/districts. For assistance, please contact hannah.gribble@tn.gov, terry.garrett@tn.gov, or elena.cruz at tn-mep.net. Identifying and flagging migratory students requires 4 steps. Step 1. Review the migratory student list posted monthly in the TN Migrant website. Step 2. Enter the Migrant I student classification in the Student Information System. Step 3. Upload the Migrant I student classification to the Education Information System. Step 4. Check your data in the Education Information System. Step 1. Reviewing the migratory student list in the TN Migrant website. Before flagging students as migratory in SIS or EIS, log in to the TN Migrant website at tn.msedd.com. Go to the district's Resources folder. All files will be shared in this section. Review the migrant student list Excel files posted monthly. Pay close attention to the Action Needed column, the rightmost column. If you do not see a migrant student list in your TN Migrant Resources folder, no migratory students were enrolled in your LEA during the school year. This slide provides a sample migratory student list. The next slide explains the action needed column in each row. The migratory student list action needed column. In row 1, the student has a QAD but has not been flagged with the Migrant I student classification in SIS or EIS. The action needed: add the Migrant I student classification in SIS, EIS to identify this student as migratory. On row 2, the student does not have a QAD, but has been flagged with a Migrant I student classification in SIS or EIS. Action needed: remove the Migrant I student classification in SIS or EIS. This student is not migratory. Row 3, the student has a QAD that falls within the eligibility period and has been flagged with a Migrant I student classification in SIS, EIS. Action needed: none. The Migrant I student classification is correct in SIS and EIS. Row 4, the child or youth has been identified as migratory by TN MEP, but a school enrollment has not been identified. Check enrollment records to determine if the student is enrolled in the district. Action needed: check enrollment records to determine if the student is enrolled in the district. If the student is enrolled in the LEA, add the Migrant I student classification in SIS or EIS to identify the students as migratory. Step 2. Entering the Migrant I student classification in SIS. As discussed on the previous slide, add or remove the Migrant I student classification in your SIS for each record with an add or remove entry in the action needed column in the migrant student list posted each month in the TN Migrant website. Migratory status applies for the school year. When migratory students transfer during the school year, receiving LEAs use the enrollment begin date as the Migrant I student classification begin date. The Migrant I student classification identifies students as migratory for accountability, funding, reporting, and other purposes. Do not remove the Migrant I student classification at the end of an enrollment or school year. Do not roll over the Migrant I student classification to the next school year. Step 3. Uploading your data to EIS. After you have entered your Migrant I student classification revisions in your SIS, upload your data to EIS. The data will populate EIS, the data after the upload. Step 4. Checking your data in EIS. Log in to EIS as an LEA or school user. Select Data Reports, Research Queries. Select the Student Classifications Research Query. Select Student Classifications and Migrant I. Year pre-populates as 2023 for the 2023-24 school year. To run the query, select View Report. To download in CSV or Excel format, use the file icon to the right of Find or Next. The research query results include a record for each student flagged with the Migrant I student classification. School and student identifiers are on the left. The Migrant I student classification is on the right. Migratory students are part of the economically disadvantaged or ED subgroup and are coded with the Direct Certification of Economic Disadvantage, J, student classification, in addition to the Migrant I student classification, because they are categorically eligible for free school meals due to their migratory status. Now let's continue with some suggestions to improve data quality. Regularly collaborate with attendance, early learning, EIS, federal programs, and other colleagues to ensure that your data are coded properly. Frequently check the data in SIS and EIS and upload revisions as needed. For additional information, please refer to the FPO Data Manual. If you have questions, this slide includes contact information. For questions about the migrant program, please contact Hannah Gribble or Terry Garrett. For questions about migrant data and coding, please contact Trish Kelly. For questions about the TN Migrant website, please contact Elena Cruz. For EIS errors and restaging problems, please contact the District Technology Support Team. Thank you for viewing this webinar.